Our last speaker is Dr Bex Graham. Bex is a community psychologist with interests in issues relating to poverty, health and disability in particular, but I probably could add more to that as well. I think you've lots of different interests to Bex. She's a teaching fellow at the University of Waikato and here in a position as National Chief Executive Officer of Parents of Vision Impaired New Zealand. And Bex will talk to us using Substack for communication and action. Thank you, Bex.
Oh, kia ora koutou. It's nice to see you all. It's always a bit nerve-wracking being up front. There's that temptation to just rush through your words real quick so you can sit back down again. Kelly asked me to talk about my Substack in relation, but before I get to that, I'm going to go around the mountain a little bit. I live in Hamilton with my husband and our 4 children. Our eldest is 24 and my youngest is 12. Good range, solid teenagers. Eat so much food. Oh my word. I undertook my PhD in social psychology through Massey, the Albany campus, and looked at food insecurity, in particular what happens in households where there's not enough money to buy enough food to feed everybody in the house, and what happens, and very qualitative, lots of just getting to know people because of the shame and the stigma that's around not having enough money for food. And it takes a little while of getting to know someone and developing that relationship for them your participants to feel like they can talk openly and honestly about actually what's going on inside the household. So that notion of developing a caring relationship is part of research. Post-PhD, I spent a lot of time on Twitter trying to get these ideas out there in the world, which is how I met Kelly and Sharon and several other academics who also had that same interest and same bent. And at that time, Twitter was a really lovely space for New Zealand connection and community. It isn't anymore. And most of us left Twitter. And that left a void, like what do I do with all these thoughts that I have? What do I do with these ideas in my head? At the same time, I wasn't able to get any sort of academic lecturing type roles, and the job at Parents of Vision Impaired came up. And my 12-year-old was born with a visual impairment, and Parents of Vision Impaired were the organisation that provided us with care that came alongside. The other organisations in the sector at the time said, oh, we can't help you, she's not blind, so we can't give you any help. I don't know anything about this. And the current National Executive Officer retired and there was a vacancy, and I'd just completed my community psychology training and internship and registration, so it was a great place to step into. In terms of the work I do, being a community psychologist, that academic background, there was still that need of what do I do? What do I do with this stuff? How do I talk about this stuff? Being someone who's not disabled but working in the disability sector, that sense of how do I elevate the voices of adult disabled persons? How do I honour what they've produced and the work they've done and the advocacy they've done so that I can stand in this place and continue the work for my child. And Substack started becoming a thing. And so I was like, oh, well, let's give it a go. Let's give it a whirl. And what has really surprised me is that on the one hand, it's felt really frivolous to have time to write. It felt like a little frivolous hobby that I was incredibly privileged to be able to put my thoughts onto the internet and send it out and have people read it. On the other hand, there is that sense of being seen. And a lot of the feedback I get is, thank you for seeing us. Thank you for talking about this. Thank you for making me feel less alone. And particularly, social issues are not a fun topic to write about. Like, there's not people queuing up at my door saying, oh yes, please tell us more about your take on our heavy social issues. But there's still a thirst and a need there for intelligent, reasonable critique, for someone who can take the ideas of the day and think about it a little more deeply than the clickbaity stuff that often gets produced. One of my most popular posts was when I was talking about the CUNT word and the way in which that had been used by white women in positions of power to justify their cruelty to the working class, and unpicking that nuance. Bell Hooks says it brilliantly: the rage of the oppressed is never the same as the rage of the privileged. And thinking about, how do I take this rage that I feel because of the oppression that I see and the oppression that families I know experience, and particularly in the disability sector? A lot of that is unseen, and a lot of that people don't really pay attention to. And so it's like, how do I take that and elevate these stories and these voices? And that really interesting notion about civility, and this idea that we have to be civil to one another, that we can't possibly be rude to each other, and we can't possibly use swear words because that is uncivil, while ignoring the whole elephant in the room of the way in which power and whiteness and oppression stomps all over people. So for me, this was just one way to push into that, and my headings have disappeared. Oh well, they weren't important. But while on the one hand it does feel like a frivolous little hobby, on the other there's actually a real need for that kind of intelligent, thoughtful critique. And I've shared this graph because often when we start something, there's just one person, there's 2 people, there's 10 people, there's not very many. And you can see there that very long, before it starts to decline, of me writing and putting things out there, and, a handful of people would read it. But it climbs. And I think I really wanted to encourage people who are thinking about this sort of thing, about what can I do, or what can I share, or is there a space for me to share what I think, is just keep doing it. Keep doing it. And even if there's only 5 people who value what you do, those 5 people matter. And sometimes what's important is those 5 people feel seen, and they feel like somebody else cares about what's happening with them. That's all right. My slides haven't kept their. When you translate slides into a new format, and it's taken on the source format, not my original format. So, Katie Pie. It happens. So thinking about, caring economies, thinking about particularly what was said this morning by Professor Tronto, and she had some really, really great nuggets in there, particularly, in terms of being a community psychologist, this idea of promoting flourishing. And so, as Georgie said, sometimes it feels like everything is awful, and that can be really overwhelming. So when writing, thinking about what are the things that people can do, not just this sucks, but actually what can people do about it? What are the actions people can undertake? Is it writing to an MP? Is it signing a petition? Is it just posting about it on social media? Sometimes those little things are important. There might be bigger things as well. And thinking about as well that when it comes to things like human rights, that there is a lot of work to do to explain what that means. that what does a human rights framework look like in practice, unpacking that. Sometimes it feels like I sort of repeat myself endlessly, but some of that too is that these are ideas that haven't really embedded into our society yet, that we're still trying to communicate the idea in the disability sector, for example, the refrain, nothing about us without us, has been around for a number of decades. And that refrain, nothing about us without us, was a way of saying that you cannot make decisions about disabled people and disability without including disabled people and those in the sector. And Professor Tronto didn't use those words, but she talked about democracy and participation and working together. And as someone who is non-disabled working in the sector, that refrain, nothing about us without us, how do I work alongside? And the same in terms of the work I do with being tangata tiriti and working with Māori. My organisation works quite a bit with kāpō Māori Aotearoa, so thinking about how do we, again, work together to support each other, to elevate each other's voices so that we're working with. And some practical ideas there, just to end with. These were the advice, lots of people like to give advice. And the best advice I got was post regularly. So I can't post daily, but I can post weekly. So, carving out time, which none of us have, but finding some time in that busyness to just sit down and distill thoughts. And that's really helpful for me. It's care for me to give myself time to clear my thoughts and get it out and put it in order and send it out to the world. My inner perfectionism means that sometimes my posts sit in draft for too long. So it's been very good for me to, remind myself, post your imperfect posts. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be, have it all together. If you're on social media, linking your profiles, and the more lefty media we have, the better. So get onto it. But also that whole challenge of under consumerism and capitalism, there is limited ethics in terms of our consumption. Substack isn't perfect. There's some real negative things about Substack. I don't like it. This is the platform that I have available to me. I don't have any other platforms. I don't think Facebook is any better. So, sometimes it's about what is feasible and possible and what can you live with. I only have a small wee audience. It's very niche. That's sort of a very broad brush thing, and there's contact details if you want to get hold of me. Kia ora. Thank you for listening.